tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And we're happy to have our man, Chris Goforth. You know Chris. If you listen to the Falcons game, you know Chris Goforth. 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Falcons pregame, postgame, and he is down in Atlanta covering the SEC football media days. And Chris, thanks so much for taking your time to join us this afternoon.
Anytime, Jim. Always great to be with you, man, especially when it's, getting to be this time of the year and we get a chance to talk a little football. It's always good.
Right. The unofficial kickoff to college football season taking place in Atlanta. You were there at a pretty big day today. You had, of course, Kirby Smart. You had Sark of Texas. You had Josh Heupel. Tell us what was going on down there today, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think for folks in our area there in Southeast Tennessee, Northwest Georgia, today was probably the day when you have Kirby Smart and Josh Heupel both here on the same day. I guess, the only guy that was missing is Kalen DeBoer from Alabama. He'll be here tomorrow. So, Kirby Smart was the first up. Today was his 19th wedding anniversary. And Jim, I know you've been around this game and you've covered it for a long time. And this is one of those where, man, that's just the life of a coach and the life of a coach's wife. Kirby Smart referred to his wife today as the best teammate that he could ever ask for. She is actually in Mississippi with their youngest son who plays travel baseball. He's playing in a baseball tournament in Mississippi. She's in Mississippi. He's in Atlanta, so hopefully they get a chance to celebrate their anniversary. Certainly we can get more into what Kirby had to say today. Josh Heupel talked about his 3-quarterback battle going into fall camp, and then for Steve Sarkisian, he put a lot of emphasis talking about the fact that he is a head coach. His offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator, they have all been together now for 5 straight years. He also showed up with Arch Manning, who Paul Feinbaum says has the best handshake in the SEC since Tim Tebow.
Well, we're more interested in what's going on in Knoxville personally. I'm sure he's got a great handshake there in Austin. But all right, now Heupel did say there's going to be a true quarterback competition, which I think is the best thing that could be that he could do. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, that's especially at that level and at the level that Tennessee is trying to stay at. I mean, they're there now. It's been a long road back for this program to get to a level of national relevancy. Once you get there, the battle becomes how do you stay there? And I think the way that happens is through competition. That's what Nick Saban did for a long time. It's what Kirby Smart is trying to do at Georgia and has done, and that's recruit those guys, stack them in there, and then kind of let them sort themselves out. And that's what's going to happen this year at Tennessee. Does Joey Aguilar have an advantage? Probably. He was going to be the starter this year, or was projected, I guess, to be the starter, the expected starter at UCLA. So maybe he's got a little bit of an advantage over these other two guys. But I think that, handling it the way that Josh Heupel is, and a former quarterback, he knows what he wants. He knows what it takes to direct that offense. Having that competition, a true competition, will be the way that it goes. Tennessee's been here before. Went through this Jim, about 30-something years ago with Peyton Manning and Brandon Stewart.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning would lock Brandon Stewart out of the meeting rooms. So
a funny story.
We'll see how it plays out now.
I was on the air in Chattanooga, and I made the bold statement that Brandon Stewart was far and away the better quarterback over Peyton Manning. And boy, do I look like an idiot now.
Well, hey, props to you for bringing that up, Jim. Any of the rest of us that said that now deny that, but props to you for bringing that up.
Chris, this is Jacob Mason. Heading on down to Athens, I thought Kirby bringing Gunnar Stockton was a very calculated move, showing the kind of confidence that he has in him. What did he have to say about Gunnar today?
It was all about the fact that he was a guy that had got some playing time last year in a very critical moment in that second half of that game against Texas. But what he loved about him the most is the fact that he was prepared like he was a starter, and he went against a top defense, and he played well. He was a guy that had not, at that point in the year, had not gotten a lot of reps with the ones, but he came in and he played like it, and nobody would have known any difference than, kind of the way that kid went in there and did what he did last year. So now in terms of this year, Kirby had a lot to talk about him, not so much the physical aspect of Gunner and how he plays the game. It was more about the leadership that he brings, because this is and I think it's the most important thing when you talk about Georgia football this year, is the fact that you're talking about a young roster. 52% of the Georgia roster is in either year one or year two. So that leadership, whether it's from the quarterback position, the middle linebacker position, wherever it comes from, that leadership's going to be important for this year. The way this schedule sets up, you've got about 2 weeks, if you're Georgia, to get things figured out with a bunch of young guys on that offensive and defensive line. You got Marshall, you got Austin Peay, and then you got to go to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. I think Tennessee catches Georgia at a great time this year.
Continuing with Kirby, they added another pillar to their philosophy. I believe it's fire, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we heard a lot about that today.
Can you share with our listeners? Because I feel like Kirby for the longest time has kind of operated under those same kind of pillars, but with the change of college football, he seemed to add a new one this year.
Yeah, look, I think what it really all boils down to is he talked a lot about relationships and, that what they do, fire, passion, and energy. That was the kind of the three pillars of the program at Georgia that he talked about. But he said, you don't reach your goals by being comfortable. And if you don't see that drive and that enthusiasm from guys, they're never going to be as good as they can be. You're never going to get them as a program, never going to get there as a program as you want to be if you don't have guys that bring that every single day. And that's been his, we heard Greg Sankey say some things yesterday, the commissioner of the SEC, about kind of getting back to the traditional college experience for guys where, we've kind of fallen into this thing where even though they told us it wasn't going to be this way with name, image, and likeness, that it wasn't going to be centered, or it wasn't going to be used as recruitment enticements. It wasn't going to be a pay-for-play thing, and instead that's exactly what it has come. Greg Sankey talked a little bit yesterday about trying to, kind of turn the tide back to that a little bit. Kirby had some of the same things to say today. He basically said, look, we don't want this to be a financial decision for you to make the decision to come to Georgia. We want you to come here because you want to play, you want to get better, you want to win, and we'll get you to the NFL. Not about, because we offered you the most money.
Once again, we're joined by Chris Goforth, who is down at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Chris, Andy here, and I want to kind of go back to Tennessee for a second. Josh Heupel discussed how last season's ending at Ohio State really left a bad taste in their mouth, and it's driven their offseason. Is there anything else that you took from that game last season up to this point that has really kind of supported what he's saying, how it's driven their offseason?
Yeah, he made a point to talk about how they failed to score in the first quarter in 6 of the last 9 games last year and the need to have a fast start for this Tennessee offense. They've got some folks that have been brought in to kind of help this from an analyst situation offensively, especially with a new quarterback. We'll see how all of that fares out to play for Tennessee this year. But certainly I think what you're looking at is a group of guys that remain, that are not one to quickly forget kind of what happened to them a season ago.
Chris, is there any way that Arch Manning can live up to the hype around him with that name? And you got Paul Feinbaum saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just don't know if he can live up to the hype.
Man, it's And I know Feinbaum, jokingly said he had the best handshake in the SEC since Tim Tebow. Jim, you go back, that's probably the guy, at least from a quarterback situation, not that their games are similar. I don't mean it from that regard. I'm talking about from the hype that surrounded a kid. Remember, this was before we had high school football games on ESPN every week when Tim Tebow was a senior and they played Hoover, Alabama. And that game, back when Hoover was on two-a-days on MTV,
right,
for anybody old enough to remember that. But, Tebow and his team, they came to Hoover and played on ESPN, and there was a ton of hype around Tim Tebow at that time, and it was going to be between, Alabama and Florida,
right,
is what we thought. And so, certainly Tebow lived up to it, I think. You take a look at what he was able to accomplish. So we'll see. The one thing, Jim, that stands out about Arch Manning when you hear the kid talk, he's got that Manning wit about him. He's, look, you grow up, I think, in that family with Cooper and Eli and Peyton and Archie. You've got to be able to hold your own and probably take some good-natured ribbing. And he's got that quick wit. When you listen to the kid talk, he doesn't sound like – you don't feel like you're talking with a kid that, this time 2 years ago was getting ready to play a senior season in high school. I mean, you feel like you're talking to a guy that's maybe in his third or fourth year in the NFL, and I think that's how he carries himself. If there is anybody that is ready to handle what is being placed upon them, it's Arch Manning. I mean, I just think the background, the family that he comes from, how his uncles carry themselves, I think he is ready for whatever the expectations will be.
Chris, last question I have for you. The clickbait buzz to start the week was that Nick Saban could potentially come out of retirement. What have you been hearing, and what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, probably the same thing you guys have heard, and that came from Greg McElroy, his old quarterback, and Greg said it on the radio over in Birmingham Monday morning that he had heard it from a trusted source. Now, as I think Kirby Smart said today when he was on the podium, and I think just about every coach, especially any of these guys that went against Nick Saban, and certainly Kirby, who was a part of that staff, they've all been asked about it. And as Kirby Smart said today, if Nick Saban is coming back, Nick Saban's not going to be the guy that makes that decision. It's going to be Miss Terry. And there's a really good book that's out there, guys, that was released last year. And in that book, Miss Terry talks about they get back off of vacation. They had been at their lake house. Saban just bought a $10 million place down in Florida or whatever. They had been down in Florida at the new house with the family, been out on the boat, all these things. They come back. They get back to Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban's first day back in the office, he has like two assistant coaches that immediately come in and say, "Coach, I got a better offer. I'm leaving." And then that's followed by a line of players in his office going, "Hey, Coach, man, I need more money. Coach, I got School X offering me more money. Can you get me more money?" That was the point in time when Nick Saban said, "I'm done. I didn't sign up for this. This wasn't what I wanted." I don't think Nick Saban, I think he loves the game of football. I don't think Nick Saban likes the way the game, that part of the game today. I think if it was just about being on the field, Nick Saban would love it. Having to deal with the other stuff, I don't think he enjoys, and I think he still enjoys recruiting, but I don't think he enjoyed the NIL and the money part of it and what was happening in this game. That's the reason why he got out. Now, if somebody were to make him an offer and say, "Hey, we'll put a general manager in place to deal with that stuff," would that be enough to lure him back? I still don't think so. Not at his age. Cushy job on TV. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he would be up for that anymore. But certainly that's. Greg's statement about it Monday in Birmingham is certainly gotten a lot of attention here this week.
For sure. Hey, Chris, man, we appreciate your time, brother, and we'll catch up to you again, all right?
All right, man.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Chris Goforth from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta down there at SEC Football Media Day. So we do appreciate him and all the insight that he has down there, rubbing shoulders with all of the coaches and players down there at SEC Football Media Days.
Yeah, Chris always does a great job when he joins our show. Glad to have him on. And listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. You're going to hear me, Jim, and Jacob give our opinions on our takes on how SEC Media Days have went up to this point, and some of the clickbait stuff going on around there. Listen, get on ESPN's Facebook page. We've got a good conversation going on there right now about the return of Nick Saban. Is it going to happen? If it does, where do you think he lands? Let us know on ESPN Cleveland 1013's Facebook page. With that, we're going to take a quick break.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.